Hi there, welcome to Tarotland Soap Opera. Today I'm going to do a reading for Virgo energy. And like usual on this channel, we're going to do two rows. The top row I refer to as high vibe Virgo energy. The bottom row is a more worldly, shadowy Virgo energy. We've all have to make decisions in our life, and we have free will. So we kind of battle between our more hopeful, believing nature in love and belief in ourselves, and we struggle because of our fears or insecurities, or because it would require us to make changes in our life. And so some people could be battling within themselves right now, trying to decide if they are willing to live their life differently and take a different course of action in their life. Some people aren't struggling. Some people have decided, I am going to keep living my life the way I'm living it. You know, we'll all live our life at a phase of life because we're not ready or motivated. You know, there's nothing going wrong with our life. You know, we're kind of living our life the way we're ready to move forward in it. And, you know, we all move forward in life differently. We heal, we grow, we mature, we view life differently. We wrap our brain around some past pain and heartbreak or self-limiting beliefs. High vibe energy is freeing yourself from things that used to manipulate you. And you know, we can live life at a phase of life, but if we keep being resistant to change, it'll start to become like stagnant, dead. We might know that the only reason we're not moving forward in life differently is more because of our fear or insecurity. It kind of requires us to step out of our comfort zone. And some people will never step out of their comfort zone. Some people aren't motivated and inspired by love. Some people don't want to invest the time, energy, and effort it takes to work through the things that manipulate them. And we just need to see the truth of it. If you're kind of more motivated and inspired to grow and heal and mature yourself, not be manipulated by your own shadow nature, which is your more immature, prideful, egotistical, lazy, self-centered, materialistic view of life, you know, you want to be in relationships with other people who are motivated to do that. And we have to see the truth that not everybody is. And the truth sets us free. So maybe let's go look at what's going on in the top row. We had a lot of cards come out. We have the Star card, the Birds, Judication, Crossroads, Marriage, Fortune Teller, Garden, Karmic Cycle, Gift, Courtship, and Mature Woman. And the reason for the reading coming out is the Woman, which is Taurus energy. And the feminine figures can talk about how we think and feel. Taurus energy is about our philosophy of life. We do this debating within ourselves, consciously or subconsciously. We kind of debate and argue within ourselves. Do I have hope and faith and belief in myself, in love? Do I not? What do I think is just and fair? And we come out with these conclusions, and Taurus energy is like the Supreme Court in our own head. I mean, some of you could be dealing with a Taurus, but this is the reason also why the reading came out for the high vibe people. We come in contact with all these different people in the world. They have their philosophy of life. They've done their debate within themselves, what they're motivated and inspired by, what they think is just and fair. Taurus energy can represent all these institutions of the world, workplaces, friendships, our religious beliefs, our philosophy on marriage or not marriage, or how we view relationships and what we think is just and fair in them. And we're looking to find people who emotionally kind of are on the same page as us. The Star card is I have a dream. And the Birds, Sagittarius energy, I'm inspired to want to bring my dream into reality. High vibe people have realized in the Judication card that if I want to be in emotionally stable, grounded, loving, nurturing relationships, I need to be that type of person. And so they're doing that work within themselves to hold themselves accountable for their actions. In Virgo energy, I have to get out of being more about myself and my more immature nature, shadowy Aquarius, shadowy Sagittarius, there's more to the world than just these things of the world. There's more to life than just status and ego and image. I'm a creative, inspired, intuitive, loving person. And if I want to be in more emotionally mature relationships, then I have to call judgment on this more worldly view of life, or thinking it's more about me, or thinking my dreams can come into reality with people who don't look at life from a higher perspective, aren't motivated and inspired by love. And I need to hold myself accountable, and I need to hold other people accountable. And if there's people in my life who might want to move forward with me in a relationship, but my intuition is kind of what the fortune teller card can be about. If my intuition is telling me that this person might want to move forward with me in a relationship or a friendship, or want me to work there at a job, but I feel that person is still in the karmic cycle where they're still repeating some patterns or ways of viewing life or living life that I've kind of already been there and done that, I might have to call judgment on some of those people. The crossroads is Libra energy. Some of you could be dealing with a Libra, but you could, some people in your life, you kind of realize that they're still in two minds, is what the crossroads talks about. If they're willing to accept a gift of love, courtship, emotionally maturity, are they willing to accept the gift of love? Or, people can be in two minds about it, because if you do love, you take a risk of getting hurt. And so some people, if your intuition tells them they might want to move forward with you in a relationship of some sort, whether that's a job, friendship, romantic relationship, because the marriage card, since it's not a personal reading and we're just kind of doing general, it could be like a Two of Cups. Are they on the same page as me? There could be love there. You could love them. They could love you. We can have all sorts of people in our life that we love and we care for. But does our intuition tell us that they kind of repeat some poor past patterns? It's like, I can love you. I can see you out in the world. I can treat you with love and respect. But if I'm going to invest in the gift, courtship, and kind of a more emotionally mature relationship, I need you to stop repeating some of those patterns, or I'm going to keep my distance from you. Whether you're my adult child, you're my sibling, you're my friend. Because some people want you to stay in denial of the truth. They know that you have love for them and that you want them to move forward with you in life. But they could have the idea that because I know you love me, and you want this to work out, I kind of think you'll keep indulging me maybe in my poor behavior. And we've all been there. We've all done that. Some people we can extend more grace to, say, we know a younger person at work. Yeah, you do some things I don't care for and you're kind of immature. And in some situations we do, you could look at the gift as extending someone grace, and say, Taurus energy and the mature woman is the mature woman is reminding me of the Queen of Pentacles, which can be workplaces, all these different places that we work together with people, family dynamics or not. And I view the Queen of Pentacles also as Taurus energy. There might be people we have to work with that we could feel are kind of immature, egotistical. We've seen the truth of it. We listen in high vibe Two of Swords. We listen to our intuition about it, that, I might have to move forward with this person because I do work with them. They're part of the family. But I'm just going to listen to my intuition. And if my intuition is telling me that, this person is the way they are, they're probably going to stay that way. I can't change other people. I can't make people get out of their ego or their defensiveness or their immaturity. But I might keep my distance from them. And I'm just going to listen to my intuition, and I'm not going to indulge them in poor behavior. I don't have to get down into the dirt with them if they start to act in some shadowy ways. I'm going to maintain like my balance within myself and my composure. And I have dealt with probably people like this before in my life or in the workplace. I'm going to keep trying to inspire people to act in emotionally mature ways, and high vibe energy is being a leader in the world, and I'm going to conduct myself in a way that I'm proud of. I'm not going to let people I might have to deal with kind of take me out of character, and if I can kind of keep my distance from them, I will. Because the people I more want to invest my time, energy, and effort into is people who I do feel have realized that love is the answer. And love is to be just and fair. That's like high vibe Two of Swords, high vibe Libra energy. Some people haven't learned those lessons yet, don't like to be just and fair, don't want to be just and fair. And I'm going to offer people, be a good leader, walk the talk, offer people love and encouragement. And if there are people I can keep more of a distance from and not involve myself with, I will do that. If it is like a workplace situation where I have no choice, I will maintain my composure in the face of people who I think are kind of more maybe immature, egotistical, kind of deceptive or manipulative. And I just accept that they kind of are where they're at. And again, everybody's at their own phase of life of having learned lessons and their maturity level or ego level. And I'm going to keep moving forward and investing my time, effort, and energy in the people in my life, in my family, in my work relationships who are in those more emotionally mature ways of being. And the people in your life that you can really distance yourself from are people you're calling judgment on. If there's people in your life that you think are more egotistical, self-centered, more caught up in indulging themselves in the world in some way, if that's indulging themselves in their more immature ways of being, you call judgment on them. If they're more motivated and inspired to make their life about indulging themselves or these things of the world that you're not really interested in indulging yourself in anymore, to each their own, you go live your life. I'm not living my life like that anymore. Or they're more inspired by making their life more about ego or image and, a more balanced life in high vibe Virgo is, yes, I want these things of the world just like everyone else, but I also want these emotionally mature, stable, grounded, loving relationships. And I want a blend of both. That is true abundance. But some people are willing to sacrifice love and more emotionally mature relationships because they're more motivated and inspired to be indulged. And if you're not willing to indulge them in their poor behavior, they'll go find someone who does. If they're more motivated and inspired by ego or money and materialism is the most important thing in their life, well, knock yourself out, but they might be willing to sacrifice truth and love because those things are more important to them. And everybody's got their free will to live their life the way they want. And just realizing who is kind of motivated and inspired by what I'm motivated and inspired by. High vibe, growing, healing, maturing yourself, truth and love. Other people, that might be less important to them. So we just see who's kind of more on the same page as us or not. And as you're moving forward in life, there could be people who view you as a very stable, grounded, emotionally mature, loving, encouraging person who isn't as caught up in being about yourself or ego or image. And there could be a lot of people who would like to be in relationships with you or friendships, but the people who you think, you just are kind of immature and you just want to indulge in a relationship, but you're really not. You're still in two minds about listening to your intuition and seeing through kind of the illusion to do love. And so I'm going to let you be, and you can go find some other people to learn lessons from. Because I can only have my dream come into reality with people who have learned these same lessons that I have. And if I've learned that love is what makes it all worthwhile, and some other people think, well, no, isn't sex the same thing as love? Because Sagittarius energy, which is also the reason for the bottom row, can be the people haven't seen the difference between sex and love. And, you know, they still got some lessons to learn about that. They could still be in denial of the truth that they should be more emotionally mature and more emotionally invested in relationships. But some people, because they like to live more from their mind than their heart, Aquarius and Libra energy are air sign energy of the mind. Some people can choose in their free will. I kind of like to live more from my mind than my heart. I don't really like to more emotionally, authentically invest in relationships. So I do indulge myself and have sex with people, but I don't really emotionally invest myself, because then I run a risk of getting hurt. And it's like, yeah, I've already been in relationships with people like that, and I'm detached from those kind of people, and I don't want to be in a relationship with people like that. If people aren't willing to authentically, emotionally invest in a relationship, and in high vibe Taurus energy really walk the talk, some people want to be in relationships. Shadowy Taurus is more like, well, this is good for my ego and my image. It looks like I've moved on. It looks like I've healed. It looks like I'm not the same person I was before. But they're really the exact same person they were before. In whatever relationships or workplaces they were in. I want to be in relationships with people who are more emotionally mature and emotionally invested, not just indulging themselves for the ego or the image or the money or the status of the job or the paycheck or the relationship, or just to be in a relationship, you know? And, you know, we learn these lessons in life, and all these different people that we've come in contact with, it's helped us get more and more clear about what our truth is and what our truth isn't. And high vibe people incorporate those lessons into their philosophy of life and how they make future decisions. You have to be willing to learn lessons and incorporate that into your decision making. And Taurus energy is about our decision making. And some people don't want to do that. I could have learned lessons from certain experiences in my life, but I might not want to see the truth. And so I don't want to incorporate it into my decision making. So let's go look at the bottom row. Again, we have Sagittarius energy, fire sign energy. People either harness high vibe Sagittarius energy, it's about higher learning and education. Life's an adventure. Let's go on the adventure. I know everything I go pursue won't work out the way I want. I'm willing to learn lessons from those life experiences, willing to get out of my ego in high vibe Virgo to see why that didn't work. Where did I need to heal and grow and mature? What about the people I got in relationship with? I'm going to incorporate all of those lessons I've learned, and I am going to heal and grow and mature myself as I go through this process, because I'm inspired in my fire sign energy to emotionally grow and heal and mature myself. So I keep not being manipulated by my more immature Sagittarius Virgo energy of being more about myself and my ego and indulging my more immature nature. But there's some people in the world, not inspired to do that inner work. They keep indulging themselves. They want other people to indulge them. So down in the bottom row, we have the coffin, journey, seduction, caregiver, whip, and occupation. I view the occupation as like an Eight of Pentacles Virgo energy. Okay. There's some people who made the free will choice a long time ago. Some people chose, I have hope and faith and belief and love. Other people put an end to that. Nope, I'm not doing that. I've been hurt at whatever stage of life I was at, or, you know, everybody can have their predispositions, maybe even from the time they're practically born. Probably not when they're born, probably a little later. But they decided, I don't want to go on that journey of love. I could get hurt doing that. That does not seduce me in the seduction card. I'm looking for a caregiver. Some of those, you know, there's people that are more codependent energy. Shadowy Scorpio of the Coffin Death card. I am an emotionally complex human being. As human beings, we are. Some people found it confusing. Sometimes people went and indulged in something and it didn't work out the way they wanted. And instead of working through it and kind of seeing the truth of it, they just decided, that's it, I'm done. I'm not going to do it anymore. Done with love. I think I can seduce people to get them to do what I want. I think I can use my emotions, my image, my status, my charm, my charisma, my emotions, and my sexuality to get people to get in a relationship with me. Maybe I can go find someone who's a loving, nurturing person. Get that person to be in a relationship with me. And then they can be a loving, nurturing person, and I don't have to. Maybe if they don't require me to be a more loving, nurturing, and more authentic person, I can just operate. Shadowy energy can be, I indulge in my defensive egoic nature. I'll just find someone who's willing to kind of indulge me. Maybe in their high vibe Sagittarius energy, they're really motivated and inspired to get other people to look at life from a higher perspective and believe in themselves and believe in their dreams. I'm going to go find me someone like that. And as long as they're willing to keep indulging me and not willing to call judgment on me, this works out great. We get to move forward in a relationship. They're staying in denial of the truth that I'm really not on the same page as them. I could be just more emotionally shut down. They're not in a relationship with someone like themselves, and I'm never going to be that kind of person. But so long as they want to stay in denial and they want to keep moving forward with me in a relationship, I'll keep kind of listening to my intuition about when I think they're maybe really going to start to put in work and effort to free themselves from me. You know, because if we're in a relationship with someone who is just more emotionally shallow and superficial, you know, eventually the high vibe people are like, why am I in this relationship? I've kind of been in relationships with people who are like this before, and we'll all repeat a pattern until we see the truth of it and learn to love and believe in ourselves that we deserve to be in more just and fair and balanced loving relationships. And as people can move forward in a more mismatched relationship, that's when they could kind of realize that my dream isn't going to come into reality. Why do I stay repeating this pattern? Well, because I'm used to being someone who tries to love and encourage people to heal, hoping one day they'll be motivated and inspired to put in the work and effort to look at life from a higher perspective, free themselves from the things that manipulate them. But if they keep deciding in the Judgment card, no, in the Two of Swords, I'm going to keep staying in denial of the truth. And if you want to stay in a relationship with me, I guess you're going to have to stay in denial of the truth. And we'll just keep moving forward like this, and it can be kind of heartbreaking. We want other people to go through that doorway of freeing themselves from things that manipulate them. And as long as those things manipulate them, if it's their fear, their insecurity, their pride, their ego, their defensive nature, their immature nature, bossy, controlling, stubborn, self-indulgent nature, it's like a third party in our relationship. The high vibe people have love and intuition and hope and faith and belief is the third party in their life. But so long as one person is kind of manipulated, it kind of keeps everybody manipulated. Because if we're not willing to see the truth and kind of let them live their life the way they want to live it, that's their idea of the dream life, but that's not our idea of the dream life. And like wish them peace in love, but I have a dream I want to bring into reality. We're not on the same page. I've been loving and encouraging, but I see it never moves forward the way I want. And I want to be in a relationship with someone who's more on the same page as me. They also eventually don't like to be in the relationship with you because you won't indulge them the way they want to be indulged, or you don't live your life the way they want to live their life. And if they're more motivated by ego and image and that's not your truth, they'd really kind of like to hang out with people who are. If there's things that they like to indulge in to make themselves feel better, but you've offered love to yourself so you don't indulge in those things to try to make yourself feel better, you're able to keep things in perspective. You can enjoy things in the world, but out of love for yourself, you don't give those things that much power in your life, probably because you've already been there and done that and realized that didn't work out the way I wanted. So now you're more, have freed yourself from giving those things that much power. You know, those things aren't the answer to your problems, but other people still might like to indulge in things because they still think those things are the answer to their problems. And, you know, we're just driven and motivated by different things. So we have some people in our life that are moving forward with us who work through these issues within themselves, act with character and integrity, are emotionally mature, loving, offer love and resources to each other to help each other grow and heal and mature yourself. And then there's some people in our life that want to come with, but they don't want to act in that way, but they want you to kind of indulge them anyway. And like I say, if it's a workplace and family, we can extend some grace to people, but if it's someone who wants to date you or marry you, it's like, no, I've already been there and done that, and we have to be on the same page. And then we could kind of realize that some people have a lot of lessons to learn. Some people do view their idea of the dream life or dream relationship is for people to kind of indulge them in their poor behavior. You know, like using the love that people can have for them to try to manipulate them, to keep them focused on them and making their life about them. But it might stop you from really becoming all you could be or investing in your unique talent, skills, and interests because their ideas that, no, you're supposed to make your life all about me. And it's like, well, what about me? Love is supposed to be just and fair. I'm my own individual. I have my own unique talent, skills, and interests. Like, no, your dreams and ambitions were supposed to come to an end when you got in a relationship with me. And it's like, wow, I did not realize that. And, you know, eventually the whip card says repetition, pain, conflict, anger, redo, tension, fights, makeup, sex, punishment. You know, we can all get in relationships with people. This is about being attracted to people. Maybe didn't love and believe in ourselves. We were also maybe a more codependent energy, looking for someone to love us and move forward with us in life, feeling like we couldn't really do it on our own, or we wanted these certain dreams to come into reality. Maybe some people who seem to be more on the same page as us, we didn't know they weren't in our life. So, you know, we can go take certain jobs, get in certain friendships, get in relationships or marriages with people. And we can have the best hopes and intentions, and we can get along for a long time, and everybody can be kind of a nurturing, supportive person to each other. But eventually there can be a time in the relationship where someone did work through some of their past pain and heartbreak and self-limiting beliefs, and they were inspired. You know, and that's what some people do in a supportive, encouraging environment. As time goes by, it's kind of like an environment where the high vibe people don't want to sabotage a relationship. And if they know that there's some issues within themselves that they need to work through, or they could potentially sabotage the relationship, they're inspired to do this work to work through some of their past pain and heartbreak, some of their more immature ways of being, shadowy ways of being, or whatever, because they don't want the relationship to end. Well, it can be surprising then when you do that work within yourself. That can be like when the person in your life is like, what are you doing? Why are you doing that? You're like freeing yourself from some of the things that manipulated you. I like those things manipulating you. We were kind of had our own issues that kind of in some way kept us in this more codependent energy, more caught up in the world, or codependency or fear or whatever. If you do that work within yourself, you're like a different person than you were when you got in the relationship. And then if you do that, then I'm going to have to do that, for us to kind of be on the same page. And I don't like that. And that's when some people's shadowy nature can come out. What are you doing? And instead of being in high vibe energy, in truth and love and encouragement and communicating fears or insecurities, they default to a more shadowy way, which can be trying to manipulate people and control people. Don't do that. Get back here. Do the relationship the way we were doing it. Let's keep moving forward in this kind of more shadowy way of being. You should view maybe being in a relationship with me as a gift. Sometimes you can be in relationships with people who, you shouldn't love and believe in yourself. If you get in a relationship with them at whatever way of viewing life you have, you don't heal and grow and mature from there. Maybe a little bit's okay, but once you start to really kind of heal or start loving and believing in yourself, you're starting to be more high vibrational. You're starting to walk the talk and feel more independent, because high vibe energy is about being more independent, learning how to love yourself, being in less codependent energy, kind of walking the talk. That's when people can not like it. That's going too far. And if they're trying to intimidate or control you to get you to do the relationship they were doing the way you were doing it, and you want them to move forward with you in a more just, fair, emotionally balanced, loving way more, that can be when they decide to turn their back on moving forward with you in that way, because they just don't look at life from that perspective yet, may never look at life from that perspective. High vibe energy is kind of believing there's more to life than just making our life about indulging ourselves or ego and image and money and materialism. That it's really kind of tapping into your more creative, inspired nature of really having learned these lessons that I don't like all these things manipulating me, and I want to be free and independent of these things that more manipulate me to really live my more authentic life from love and hope and faith and belief in myself and in my dreams. And if I've let these things kind of really manipulate me, or it was my own fear and my own insecurity and my own codependent nature and not loving and believing in myself, well, I did this work to learn to love and believe in myself. And now I want to invest in believing in myself and pursuing some of these things that to grow myself to my full potential. And other people could still want to make their life more about the world, about themselves, about ego and image. And once you change, they also didn't want to move forward with you anymore, for some. So I think you are looking like a shining star in the world. you offer love and encouragement to other people to believe in themselves and believe in their dreams and quit staying in denial of the truth that we are meant to be like our own best mother, father, coach voice in our head, to heal from these things that manipulate us so we can go out into the world believing we don't have to stay in this limited environment, because shadowy energy can be the staying in our comfort zone or feeling kind of oppressed and confined and limited and imprisoned. Seeing through the illusion of these things that we make important in our life to define our worth and value. High Vibe Virgo is I learn to appreciate what I bring to the table, and there's more to me than what I wear and what I drive and how much money I have. I'm this creative, inspired, loving person. And I think for the first 30, 40 years of our life, we can kind of, well, in tarot, it's referred to as being in your south node, where we're pretty consumed with these things and we have all these lessons to learn. And then as we get older, we go into our north node, that there's more to life and more to me than those things that I used to make my life about. And over the course of this experience and hardships I've went through, it taught me how to get out of more codependent energy and be an emotionally loving and encouraging person to myself, to get out of past pain and heartbreak and free myself from the past so it doesn't manipulate me in the decisions I make, and to love myself, to free myself from those things so I can really be free to live my more authentic life and not making my life so much about conforming to the world and letting my ego or my fear run my life. And some of you, you're offering that gift to other people, and those people have to go through this process within themselves. And there's probably some people in your life who play that role in your life. And as you move forward, you're offering love and encouragement to people, but you're also requiring people to walk the talk. And you're going to walk the talk. So who wants to walk the talk with me, where we do treat each other with love and respect and encouragement? Get out of thinking it should be more about us or people indulging us in poor behavior. And as you're moving forward, there's going to be some people that could feel stuck because you are aligning with people who are in that same energy as you, and they were in two minds about moving forward with you in that way. They put an end to going on that journey. And it could be, they have some healing to do, but instead of doing the work within themselves to work through those things, again, they could look outside of themselves for things outside of them to be the answer. I'm going to go indulge in these things. I'm sure that will be the answer to my problems. I'm going to go get in a different relationship. I'm sure that will be the answer to my problems. I'm going to leave this job and go get a different job. I'm sure that will be the answer. But the answer lies within them, to free themselves emotionally from things that manipulate them, and to offer love to those things so they don't manipulate them. But for some people, that they're either not willing to put in the work and effort it takes to work through those things, or that's just not their truth and it's not how they view life and have no interest in doing it. And it is more, I am sure this is the right answer. And they will keep going to learn lessons the hard way, just like some other people did. And if they're willing, when things keep maybe not working out the way they want, because there's a death to the journey. Some people want to not have to grow up or mature themselves, temper their ego, deal with the truth, do love, and think I can just create this illusion that I'm more emotionally mature, stable, grounded, or whatever, and loving than I really am. Well, they're planting bad seeds. And to think that they can plant bad seeds and have this abundant harvest, you can only have that type of abundant harvest working with other people who are in that energy and them in that energy. It doesn't work if just one person is planting good seeds and another person is planting kind of bad seeds. And eventually high vibe people, though they might have wanted to stay in denial of the truth, eventually they can't keep staying in denial. This doesn't move forward in alignment with like truth and love and justice and fairness and acting with character and integrity. And eventually, even though it can be heartbreaking, I don't want to repeat this pattern anymore. And one more time, I offer you love and truth to move forward with me in this way. And if you're not willing to listen to love and intuition guide you to walk through that door and offer love to the things that manipulate you, then I wish you peace and I'm going to keep moving on. And for some of those people, they weren't willing to maybe detach from their more immature nature, their defensive nature, their lustful, greedy, prideful, I think people should indulge me in my poor behavior nature. And so then they'll go repeat this pattern with someone else, trying to either manipulate someone else who's loving to indulge them in a relationship or get in a relationship with someone who is on the same page as them. But then, and that would be a just and fair relationship if they get in a relationship with someone who's on the same page as them. It's kind of like someone who doesn't have the job skills for a job, lying on their resume to take a job that has much more responsibility than they can handle. They need to go get a job at a level of their skill level, right? And that would be a just and fair relationship. And maybe together, those people would be able to work together. It's just like when we were kind of 15, we hung out with 15-year-olds instead of hopefully 25-year-olds because that wasn't our emotional maturity level. And they've got to learn some of these lessons before they can be in a more responsible position, emotionally mature relationship. And together, maybe, it's just like when we were younger, we might have known people who are more confident, bold, and brave than us. And it's like, wow, I wish I was more willing to sing my own song, but I'm not. So I'm going to hang out with my friends and hopefully together we can all get there one day. And we'll all move forward together. Everybody moves forward in life at different times in life. And some people, are going to have to put in the work. Some people don't want to put in the work. Some people are like, well, no, I want like stability and security or more emotionally mature relationships, but I don't want to put in the work and effort to be a more emotionally stable and mature. I just want to be in relationships with people who are like that. It's like, sorry. Until you learn these lessons like other people did, to think that you can plant bad seeds and people, because they love you, are going to keep indulging in your poor behavior. No. So what's coming up for some people who harness some high vibe Virgo energy that they might not see coming up? The Hierophant and the Two of Wands. Why? Because of the Six of Swords. As you do this work and effort within yourself, again, the Hierophant is Taurus energy. You have a dream. That's also what the Two of Wands talks about in Aries energy. You have a dream of being in workplaces, friendships, and relationships with people who are inspired, fire sign energy, by truth and love. That is their dream. And that's what motivates and inspires them, and that's their truth. And you're doing that work within yourself to keep moving forward in that way. And as you keep aligning with that energy within yourself, and you're investing time, energy, and effort into people who are in that energy, you're not communicating and investing your time and energy into people who have already shown you that is not their truth. And I think as you keep aligning with that within yourself, other people are going to see that you're in that energy, and other people who are in that way of viewing life and living life are going to want to move forward with you because they see you are someone who's been enlightened to the truth. You've healed or grown and matured yourself in some way. You're not acting in more immature, emotionally shallow ways, trying to manipulate people, being harsh or controlling. And they've already been in relationships with people who are like that too. And they want to be in relationships that are more high vibrational. And other people see the truth of it. And some people had to kind of work through some of these issues to be willing to move forward in that way, but they saw the truth of it. You know, if I want to be that kind of person and work with those kind of people, I need to be that kind of person. What's coming up for some people who might harness a more worldly, shadowy Virgo energy that they might not see coming up? A card not showing itself because of the truth. The Queen of Swords. The Queen of Swords can talk about, I view the Queen of Swords like Aquarius energy. When some people are being kind of immature, bossy, controlling, manipulative, egotistical, self-centered, immature, they're kind of expecting that other people will give up their dreams of how they expected people to work cooperatively with them. And when some people are kind of being in shadowy energy, they can always have some high vibe people in their life that are offering them love and encouragement for them to move forward with them in a more hopeful, believing, loving way. And what some of these people don't see coming is that some of the people in their life who've been feeling betrayed in this relationship, I'm trying to move this forward this way. You keep trying to move it forward this way. I feel betrayed because I feel like my dream isn't coming into reality. And eventually, those people see the truth. Virgo energy, I need to see the truth. I've been putting in work and energy with these people to get them to be more inspired, to have some hope and faith and belief and love, work with me cooperatively in a just and fair way, and I keep seeing they're not willing to do that. And I'm done feeling betrayed. I see the truth. I wish them peace. You can live your life the way you want to live it. I'm calling judgment on you, and out of love for myself and listening to my intuition, I'm going to go hang out and invest my time, energy, and effort into people who I do think are more on the same page as me. And again, you know, it isn't, if it's a romantic relationship, you know, it's more challenging. If it was a long-term friendship or people you had, and then all, you know, because who knows when some people are going to, you know, we kind of go on separate paths that we could have been in even long-term friendships with people. And then they're like, you know, I don't want to keep moving forward in that way anymore. And I've kind of decided I want to go on a different direction. You know, sometimes people wish each other peace. You know, you go or you're moving or you're going to get a different job, you know, and I'm going to stay here. And sometimes, you know, it's not as harsh, but if it's a romantic relationship, it can be hard if people decide, you know, that does challenge me to work through these issues. I don't want to see the truth. I do, maybe some of them have a more worldly view of life, and you want to make our life about something else. That's not my truth. And everybody can kind of feel betrayed, but they could always have some high vibe people in their life that aren't going to keep putting in work and effort with them. I thought we were motivated by this. If you're motivated by that, then our truths are different. Our dreams are different. So I see the truth. I wish you peace. I'm moving on. And then there is always going to be other people in their life who kind of hide that they also might harness their Aquarius energy in a more worldly way of life. I'm kind of more motivated by these things of the world, maybe kind of defensive to love because I've been hurt before, and I'll keep you live your life the way I live my life. We're on the same page. Let's be friends. Let's work together. Let's get in a relationship. But it might be more because they're more driven and motivated to look like a shining star in the world, and that's the most important thing, or these things they want to indulge in, and it's not love. Let's go indulge ourselves in these things of the world. It might be a little more emotionally shallow and superficial, as shadowy Scorpio, but I might not want to do a deep, meaningful relationship anyway. And I just don't value that, maybe. And if there's other people I could be in a relationship with who would more indulge me in my immature nature, worldly nature, superficial, shallow nature, hey, let's do it. And those are the people that'll keep staying in friendships and relationships with them. It's just, they're sure it will maybe make them happy. I just think eventually people realize, well, I just don't think that's the way it works. We can indulge in things. It just gets worse and worse and worse if we're not willing to see the truth. If we're about pride and ego, we make pride and ego so important in our life, or money or materialism, or indulging, say, in drugs and alcohol to such an extent. I think the devil, which is like our shadow nature, doesn't care how our life ends up. It just wants us to live our life that way. Like our shadow nature wants us to indulge it, telling us we'll be happy making our life about those things. I just don't think it'll work out the way they want. And if we're not choosing truth and love and acting with character and integrity, but maybe trying to create the illusion, I'm not selfish, I'm not greedy, I'm not bossy, I'm not controlling, I'm not manipulative, I'm not all about myself. You know, staying in denial of the truth causes cognitive dissonance. And unwilling to keep seeing the truth, I think, wears on someone until somebody loses all of their conscience. Otherwise, people who have a conscience know they're not maybe who they say they are if they're trying to present themselves as something than the truth of who they are. You know, if people are living their life and they just want to live their life the way they want it, then I don't think it bothers them as much. But some people are trying to hide that they're defensive to love or seeing life from a higher perspective, but they try to present themselves as that way. And I think those people have a harder time. The people who are like, you know, that's not my thing, I want to live my life like this, you know, they'll just have the consequences of whatever their lifestyle is. And I don't think more emotionally mature, balanced, loving people are going to want to keep indulging them in a relationship. And it'll just be, you know, they kind of didn't grow to their full potential. And that's okay. Different strokes for different folks and all sorts of different people in the world. Live your life the way you want it. It just won't be kind of what their life could have been if they had freed themselves from some of those things that manipulate them. But that's their free will choice. So there you go, Virgo energy. I wish you peace, love, and joy, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.